Well, hello there. Welcome along to another Spitfire session. It's great to see you once again. Steve here. Steve Watts, ready to fire your questions over to a panel tonight made up of current Kent players. We've got four guys out of the squad who are gearing themselves up for a brand new season. We'll talk a bit about that. We'll have a look back on 2020. That is the form of cricket and the year that was 2020, and one or two other things besides. Our continued thanks to Shepherd Neame, our terrific partners and sponsors, looking after us on these Spitfire sessions. Fingers crossed the boozers have got to be opening again soon, and hopefully we're going to see you down at the Spitfire ground as well. Got a long list of your questions to get over to our panel tonight. Thank you as always for sending them in. Just before we get going, I'd like to mention that for non-members or six-pack holders, Vitality Blast ticket priority is now open for registration. Hopefully, we'll be welcoming you back to the Spitfire ground, St Lawrence, in the not too distant future. Details, FAQs are on the Kent Cricket website. So log on to kentcricket.co.uk and we'll be seeing you at Canterbury and maybe elsewhere during this upcoming season. Log on to kentcricket.co.uk. So let's get on to introducing tonight's panel, specifically concentrating on the partnerships, two very different types of partnerships, one of which you'll remember as being one of the most prolific on the county circuit from last year. First up is a player who joined us ahead of last season. Have to wait a long time for the debut. It's Jack Leaning, who came down from Yorkshire, and it says here, Jack, you've already written your name permanently into Kent's record books. That record stand with Jordan Cox, 423, a personal score of 220, not out in that Bob Willis Trophy opener, and of course some big contributions in the Vitality Blast as well. Good evening to Jack Leaning. How do we find you?
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Still imprisoned. Can't wait to get out. And the other half of this partnership, about which we'll be talking lots, I'm sure. In fact, the last 12 months, all I've really spoken about is coronavirus and this partnership between Leaning and Cox. Let's introduce Jordan Cox, who, of course, is a product of the Kent Cricket Academy and made that enormous contribution to the round of Sussex with the highest ever score from a Kent player, unbeaten 238, breaking a record that has stood since 1963. Fielder of the Year last year, Jordan Cox, appearances for England under-19s as well. How are you doing, Jordan?
Very well, thank you.
Just been hearing, just before we started, that you've become some sort of beefcake. Is this right?
I've had a few good sessions in Australia, yeah. Not too many, but I've had a good time.
And a little bit of ink on the wrist as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for telling everyone now. Good to keep that quiet.
Why have it done if you don't want people to see it? I don't understand. Harry Podmore. Podders, Harry Podmore, what can you say about this guy who became the club's 218th capped player in September 2019 after a terrific start to his Kent career, coming down from Middlesex. 118 wickets so far, 23 and a half in 33 first-class appearances in his Kent career. Up to this point, best figures of 6 for 36. Good evening, Harry Podmore. How does it feel to have the word prolific in your intro?
Luckily it's for cricket, which is good. No, awesome. I mean, yeah, hopefully many more years of that to come.
Hopefully. The fourth member of the panel to introduce you is Matt Milnes, who joined us from Nottinghamshire in October of 2018. In his first year, picked up the Bowler of the Year award for Kent, 55 championship wickets at 25 apiece. Hello to Matt Milnes. How do we find you this evening?
All good, thanks, Steve. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Good.
Delighted you could all join us. You've picked out a star question. That'll be coming up at the end. And the sender of said question will be winning a prize from our terrific sponsors, Spitfire and Shepherd Neame. Chris B, I wonder what the B stands for. He is the sender of question number 1. You don't win a prize, Chris, but thank you for getting in touch. And Chris just basically wants to know, how excited are you all for the start of a brand new season? It's, well, we're talking weeks now, Jack. Not too far to go.
Yeah, hopefully we can actually get kicked off on time this season. Things are looking good, and winter preparations are going pretty well for the lads. So hopefully the weather picks up in the next month or so. We can get back outside and get ready properly.
Last year when you were expecting to make your Kent debut probably in April and you had to wait till August, how frustrating was that? Did it give you a bit of time to bed into your new environment?
I certainly got used to where I'm living, that is for sure. Exploring the sights and scenes of the countryside around. But it was kind of twofold, really. It meant I could make my debut in June rather than facing the Seaman Bowl in April. So that's probably had a hand in a bit more of a successful season for me, which was good.
All right, Matt Mills, how's it going for you this winter?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Lots of running. We get run into the ground quite a bit, and then we've sort of stepped up the bowling and batting after a little break last week into small group sessions, which is good. So yeah, very much looking forward to it.
What about you, Podders? Are you working hard?
Yeah, working very hard. It's a bit of a shame this year that there's no pre-season trip at the end of the winter to look forward to. I know that the boys will be missing that, but no, the boys are working really hard. Like Milnesy said, been running to the ground. I don't think I've ever done so much running. But yeah, no, I mean, it's only going to help us towards the start of the season.
A couple of weeks ago, we had the girls on. We had Alice Davidson Richards with us, and she was talking us through the current training schedule for her, which is quite a lot of time, I think, on your own. Quite a lot of time with people with masks on, and don't go near this person. Have you found some of that this winter?
Yeah, definitely. It is a strange one. I think Dan, the physio, is very regimented on the rules and regulations of what's allowed and what's not at the moment. It's up until last week we had a lot of individual stuff, which would mean some days, running at the track at 7 a.m. To then doing a gym session at 5:45 to 7 o'clock. So you could be in at 7 and finish at 6:45, which sounds like a really long day, and it is. But obviously, there's breaks in between where you go home, have some food, and it's very different to normal, as in going out for a coffee with a few of the boys or grabbing a bit of lunch in town. Or so yeah, I mean, I think we're all just grateful to be doing something. I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't able to do what they do, and we're just grateful to be able to train and take our mind off other things.
And Jordan, for all of us lot, we've been either stuck indoors, or last week we did get out and we were basically walking on ice everywhere. It was lethal. How's your winter been, Jordan?
Yeah, it's been very good, actually. Thank you. I've been to Sydney for the last 4 months, which has been lovely, but haven't got a tan, so I can't show the boys that I've been out.
Did you miss the cold, horrible weather we've had here?
I came back on the day, or the day after, when it snowed. So I got back and it was probably about -4. So it was a bit chilly and not really used to it. So, but it's good to be back though. Good to be back to my first gym session today. It's good to be back with the boys, see how they're getting along. So I'm excited to get going next week.
When you travelled out there and indeed travelled back, was there quarantining and that sort of stuff to do?
Yeah, when I arrived in Sydney, there was a 14-day quarantine. Test after 4 days, and then a test after 11 days. And then when I came back here, there was a test when I got to the airport, and then 5 days quarantine, and then a negative test to come back to training.
When you got out there, were you shut indoors for 2 weeks, like we've seen with the tennis players? Yeah, I was 24 floors up, and I don't really like heights, so I had no balcony, nothing. So I was a bit scared, but it was all right. You got to knock on the door every lunchtime, dinner time, and breakfast. Sorry, and you literally knock on the door. They leave it on a chair outside. It's weird because you don't get a room key, so it's like they literally they take you up to their room or your room, and they go, there we go, and they literally shut the door, and you can't get back out.
That's the dream for you, though. You played PlayStation 23 hours of the day, didn't you, Coxie?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, did they provide a PlayStation for you?
No, I took mine out.
Very good.
We've got a great group going, the BDE. So it's a great partnership we have together. I obviously play with Jack, but Milne hasn't got his KD high enough yet, so we're not playing with him.
God knows what language.
I don't play
I didn't understand that, but anyway.
Me neither.
I'm I'm delighted that you've quarantined successfully and you've had a productive winter. As a kind of follow up to the looking forward to this season coming up, just a matter of weeks away, hopefully, all being equal. Lisa's question is, it's a really good question, what does a successful 2021 season look like to you? Now, it'd be easy to say, yeah, we're just going to win everything. Let's start with Matt Milnes on this one. Last year, very good in 4-day cricket, very good in T20 cricket, perhaps not quite good enough, that close to being good enough in either. So what's a successful 2021 look like?
I think you hit the nail on the head with last year, actually. We got in very good positions in both competitions, and probably let ourselves down in small parts at crucial stages, which meant we couldn't quite get over the line in both comps. So I think this year, with everyone sort of being that year on, a year more experienced, I think we can sort of right them wrongs and actually go one better. And I firmly believe that we have the squad to win certainly one trophy, if not two. Or sorry, 3 this year, isn't it? So I think I'm very confident that, especially in the Red Bull stuff, that we're learning quickly. I think our white ball team's slightly more experienced and understands that a bit more, but the Red Bull stuff, I think we're definitely learning quickly, and I think we're a force to be reckoned with.
If I look back on the last 2 years of the T20, the Vitality Blast, and it kind of been a mirror image, really, when Kent have been playing some fantastic cricket for half of the group stage, probably the best team in the country, but it has kind of petered out a bit, and that happened last year as well. Is that something that's been spoken about, really keen to work on this year?
I don't think too much. You can't think too much about it, I don't think. Everyone's sort of aware of it, but you don't want to then start being cautious towards the back end of the comp. I think you have to play the way you have throughout the whole comp, because if you do end up starting to second guess yourself, I think that has a negative effect on everyone. So I think it's important actually not to think like that, and just to go out there every game and try and express yourself. And I think, as I said, the squad itself is a very strong squad, and I think we're certainly a team that other teams are speaking about, and no one's, I think probably 2 years ago we were getting, people were underestimating us a bit then, but now I don't think they are.
Jack, last year was your first year, of course, in Kent colours. How did you assess how that went? How much improvement do you think might be needed to be lifting trophies this year?
Not a massive amount, to be honest. I think in the Red Bull stuff, probably one session cost us qualifying for the knockout game, really, and it was against the team that won the competition. We put ourselves in a really good position against Essex, and ended up making just over 100 in the second innings, giving them, I think, only 200 to chase, which we nearly managed to win the game in the end. So from a Red Bull perspective, I think we had a fairly consistent year last year with bat and ball, with everybody contributing as well, which I think is a major thing. Different players stood up and won and contributed to different games, which is a massive thing for your team morale when everybody's putting in a performance. And then T20, like you said, it was just a couple of games towards the back end where we just slightly kind of maybe lost our confidence a little bit, and maybe a little bit of a combined feeling of what happened last year. Some maybe felt that it was going to happen again this year. But then we managed to get out the group stages, and unfortunately we just came up a bit under par against a really good Surrey team on a pitch that at the Oval that really suited them. But like Milne said, we probably all learned from a couple of mistakes that we made last year, individually and collectively as a team, about how we might go about things next year. So hopefully those couple of things will see us get through to some finals, and hopefully there's some silverware next year.
How about you, Jordan? How does a successful 2021 season look to you?
As they've both said, I feel like we're a very good side. I don't feel like there's much more we need to change. It's just repeating the good stuff we do, really. We've become a really good group, and we probably a couple of years ago it was we builded that, or the coaches builded that, and I feel like we all back each other, and I feel like it's going to come sooner or later. We're such a good group. We're such a compact group. We so happy for people's successes, and we're such a good group to be around. Like, even if people are down, we still, help them out, look after them. So I feel like we're such a close group that surely it's got to come soon. But we're such a good side, and we've got such good players. Like, obviously you need a few more people to step up, to win the games. But sometimes it happens where it's like last year against Surrey, like the pitch, and they bowled really well, like it was in their favour. But unfortunately, I can imagine the next year, maybe 2 years, I can imagine we'll get a trophy or two.
I like that. I like the way you're talking there. Harry Podmore, I count myself as very lucky last year to have been in the ground for home T20 matches. And I think the image that sticks in my mind most is you walking around the boundary in what can only be described as ill-fitting shorts. Is there any prospect of seeing you in a bit of T20 action this year?
It's a great question. No, I hope so. I think I had a long sit-down meeting at the back end of last year when I committed my future to Kent. It was a chat between me and the management of, okay, one day and Red Bull going well for you. How do we get into the T20 side? What points do I need to work on? And there's no lying. I mean, I think you've alluded to the fact that over the last 2-3 seasons, we've been challenging for final spots, semi-finals, quarter-final. So it's a hard team to break into, which can only be a positive thing. I think any competition is good competition. And as much as I might moan that I'm not in the T20 side, I think from a club point of view, it's a great position to be in, to have some disappointed players that they're not playing in a certain format, because it just means that the competition and the standard of cricket to get into that T20 team is top notch.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, because I'm thinking back to the early games in the T20 Blast last year, and things were going great. And we still had Denley to come back, we still had Crawley to come in, and we still had Billings to come in as well. I mean, 3 players who walk into pretty much any county team weren't even involved. So, I mean, that highlights the competition you're talking about.
No, exactly. And I mean, I think over the previous years, we've always had 1 or 2 overseas bowlers. So not only is there competition on the batting front, but also on the bowling front. I mean, when you got the likes of someone like a Milnes or Podmore or Stewart or something sitting out, chomping at the bit to get into that team. I think that's a real massive statement from the club as how strong we are in the T20 format, and the competition and the standard you need to be in to get into that team.
When it comes to Red Bull cricket, of course, your name is one of the first on the sheet. Looking forward to what will be a successful, I'm sure, 2021 season. John's question here is specifically for you, Jack Leading. It says, how much confidence is scoring a double ton in your first home match for Kent, given you going into this year? I forgot it was your first home game, though.
Yeah. It was one of those situations where obviously coming to a new club and your new environment, I'm pretty eager to kind of show people what I can do as early as possible, really. I missed out in the first game at Essex, which is a bit disappointing, but like I said, I kind of got myself a decent score and surprised myself, really, with the way I played and how well I played in that game. To be honest, it was. I think it shows. It's a bit of a credit to the club and how easy they made it for me to settle in, especially the boys and the coaching staff to be able to make me feel comfortable to then go out and play at my best so early on in my Kent career. That was a massive thing. It's been good fun and a really easy dressing room to drop into as a player coming in. So I didn't really feel nervous at all. I just felt kind of excitement, really. And I think that's probably why the results showed on the pitches they did.
When you say you surprised yourself at just how quickly that happened for you, what was the surprise?
Also, not so much from a cricket point of view, just how quickly I kind of felt at home in the dressing room.
Right.
I think even though I'd not really been around the lads much, obviously you come across people on the county circuit quite often, so you have a vague knowledge of a few of the lads. But when the lockdown rules started to ease slightly, we managed to play quite a bit of golf together and made up for a few walks and a bit of lunch, which was quite a nice thing, to be honest, because I got to know my teammates as mates before kind of as cricketers. And I think that's a massive thing that Coxie alluded to before, that the dressing rooms is quite a friendly environment. Everybody's good mates with each other, I've found. There's not much kind of bickering and there's not much kind of sort of negative feeling in there. And I think that's such a massive thing when you're looking to push forward and win some silverware, that you've got a dressing room that thoroughly backs each other. And it gives everyone, whether it's their first couple of games like me, or it's some of the lads who have played 20, 30, 40 games, to nail their skills and be successful.
Now, for Matt Mills and Harry Podmore, you might want to make yourselves a cup of tea, because we're going to have to talk now about this partnership between Jack and Jordan. We've had so many questions about it since it happened, really, on these Spitfire sessions. Jimmy's been in touch with us. We'll start with you, Jordan, on this one. When he says, "How'd you keep your concentration up when you're batting for so long?" Wasn't it very hot as well during that partnership?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a bit of a heat wave, but to answer the question, really, is kept, because obviously it was pretty much, I had Jack there with me the whole time, so I didn't really think much about the cricket side of it. When I'm normally batting, I like to joke around. I like to, obviously, when the ball's coming down, I obviously concentrate. But when I had Jack at the other end, every over, I was just talking absolute rubbish to him. So I probably made him feel like it was getting hot, and then you had some 19-year-old down the other end, chatting absolute rubbish to him every over. But I feel like I've got along with Jack so well. We've obviously played COD together quite a lot. We played loads of golf and gone out for coffee, lunch, and all that sort of stuff. So if I didn't have met Jack before, like did all those things with him, I reckon it might quite have been pretty awkward. But because I met him probably the first day he arrived, bought him a coffee, and then we were pretty sound from then on. And I've really enjoyed Jack being here, and I'm really happy he was there for the whole time I was out in the middle, because it made me, as I said, not really think about the cricket, just having a bit of fun with. It's like backyard cricket. I was having a bit of fun talking to Jack, and I was just relaxing. And that's when I was playing my best.
Did you say you bought a coffee, Jordan? I've known you for 3 years. I'm still waiting. That was
because I was trying to be nice. I was like, the first time I was like, Jack, you want a drink? And then all the lads were like, yeah, I have one. I was like,
Part Yorkie.
Yeah.
And apologies for the language there, by the way.
Sorry.
I
thought I held it in as well.
You're not in Australia now. All right, you're in.
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, coming back to what you were just saying, it sounds like you're absolutely ace then at treating each ball as an event and completely switching off when that moment is done until the next ball comes down.
Yeah, definitely. I've more been, if you're batting for a long period of time, it's hard to concentrate the whole time. I feel like you need to switch on, switch off. I think probably maybe 2 years ago, I definitely wouldn't have switched off. I was always that person. I was watching the ball, even if I wasn't facing it. So I've definitely managed to learn that from a few players, talking to our head coach Walks and Mike Yardy about it, like switching off, switching back on. And I feel like I did that quite well that game.
Yeah, it's fascinating. If you're just a mere mortal club player like I used to be, you've been out in the middle half an hour and you've had enough, quite frankly. You're just gonna smash it or get out, because how you bat for hours on end, I don't know. Especially, Jack, when you've got someone rabbiting in your ear at the end of every over.
Yeah, it makes it even more of an achievement, I think. Coxie's nailed it on head. I think the key to kind of batting for a long time has been able to switch off, which, like I say, we've got on quite well. So I think it made that quite easy, talking a lot of rubbish to each other and just taking our mind away from the cricket in between overs, in between balls, I think it comes back to that dressing room environment again, that you feel comfortable around your teammates to act the way you are and not feel like you have to put on a persona. But it was good fun, and the fact that Coxie enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it just as much batting with him. To be honest, it was nice to. It honestly was just good fun. That's the best way to describe it. It was everything just kind of fell into place. I think for both of us, it was one of those days where we both got off to a pretty good start, and never really looked back. It was, I guess you kind of describe it as being in the zone a little bit, where it just passes you by without you really realising. No, it was good fun, and I wanted to spend it with anyone else, Coxie.
Yeah, too right.
All right, okay. Well, that's
cringe.
nice. Yeah, that's nice for the other two sitting there, isn't it? I hope you don't get a partnership coming up this season.
Don't worry,
I'll run you out.
Enough of that in a minute.
Jack, have you got a good line in gibberish then between overs? Can you give as good as you get?
To be honest, we were probably just talking about Call of Duty most of the time, because that was where we spent most of our evenings in lockdown. It was that was pretty much the extent of the conversation, because Coxie's not got much else banter, to be honest. So it's that's all we ended up talking about. But it worked, so it's probably something that's going to happen all the time now.
Yeah. Call of Duty it is then. Lovely. Yeah. Let's talk to the two bowlers here. Let's go to Matt Milnes, because we had a question in from Peter, who says that, when you're bowling and there's this enormous, humongous, never-ending partnership going on, as a bowler, how do you keep your mind sharp? How do you keep your spirits up?
Get the spinners on. To be fair, I think as a group we're quite good with that. I remember, I think in my first season, Sibley went big at Canterbury, and that was a similar sort of feeling to what those Sussex bowlers went through, I'd imagine. I think we're quite good at sort of taking stock and trying to bowl dot balls there. I think all you can do is potentially try and be relentless for as long as possible and dry them up, because they're clearly seeing it well and you're not getting many plays and misses. So I think you just got to adjust the field accordingly and try and dry them up as much as possible, make them do something different and make a mistake. But I think as a whole, we're probably, especially last year in comparison to the year before, I think as a group we're much better at that. And I think, to be fair, I think Cookie sort of drives that as well. I think he's very much of that opinion, in that we need to, in comparison to my first season, we need to bowl a lot more dot balls and dry them up when it needs to be done, basically.
Okay, so if you're not sure you can get them out, you frustrate them. Maybe frustrate them out. Podders, does that work for you?
Yeah, I think obviously bowlers are notoriously known for not being the brightest bunch of blokes in the team. So I think
Exhibit fear.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's harsh on Milne.
Yeah.
But no, I think that that when I'm bowling, there's not a lot that's going through my head. I try and I think that's a mantra for my bowling anyway, which is try and be consistent as possible. Top of off, knee roll. If you're there and thereabouts, I think you bowl your best ball. If the batter hits it for 4, fair play, they're allowed to play well. And vice versa. If we bowl a good ball and you get a batter out, bowlers are allowed to bowl well. I think the most successful people just stick to what they do best for longer than the others, which is what we try and do.
Well, I will say that I think you've been very harsh on yourself there, talking about bowlers, and maybe they're perhaps not the sharpest knives in the drawer. I'll tell you what, I bet they buy coffees, don't they, bowlers?
They do, yeah. They're not tight like the batters.
What the hell? It's all been brought back to us already.
Come on, lads. It's only February. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's keep the spirit here. Julie's question is for you, actually, again, Podders here. It says, you're at Kent for a year before Matt Milnes joined. Did you click straight away? I presume this means personally and indeed as a bowling unit. And have you learned skills from each other?
Yeah, I think before Milne came, we actually have mutual friends. He went to Durham University, and I have a good friend that went to Durham University with him. So I got the lowdown before he joined, what sort of a bloke he was like, what to expect. And the fact that we had a mutual friend meant that we had some common grounds to conversate on. And then when he joined, we lived together. Paul rang me and said, look, Matthew's coming down.
Matthew, you reckon?
Yeah, he said Matthew because it's professional. It's not Matt, it's Matthew. Matthew's coming down. He's going to stay in the flat with you. Just make sure he's okay and see if he needs anything. So I think, yeah, initially, I think Milne, I would have been the first Kent bloke you met when you came down, probably.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely, actually.
So yeah, so unfortunately for him, he was stuck with me for a little bit. But yeah, no, I think, well, Milne might say different, but I think we clicked straight away. He's a great bloke, and he was really easy to get on with, and made it a lot easier for himself to settle in and get around the lads.
Is that true, Millsy?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it always helps living with someone, especially when I was new to the club. I obviously didn't know many of the lads at all and didn't know the area. But I think living with Pod has obviously helped me settle in the dressing room and into the area. Like, it was, I think I'm a bit more chilled out, whereas Podders can't go 2 minutes without doing something. So he dragged me out into Canterbury and I got to see the sights.
You were used to you've been used to Nottingham, I presume, which is a great place, isn't it, to live and to go out in. So how does Canterbury compare?
I am, yeah. Very different, actually, I think, yeah. Probably a bit more posher.
Well, Canterbury?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's in beating?
What are you used to, Jack? Leeds or something like that?
No, I lived in York before, so
Oh, York's nice, isn't it?
quite similar, yeah.
Yeah, York's
Yorkshire.
yeah, dreadful accent, awful.
Draining, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, very, very. And Matt, when you knew you were coming to Kent, you thought, not only am I going to be working with Harry Podmore, I'm going to be living with him. Did you feel this pressure to sharpen up your wardrobe?
I don't think I'd take any tips from him.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
oh God.
What? The oversized tee are a go-to now, dog.
What about that check three-piece suit I've seen you in, Podders? I think you look amazing.
Which one?
Funny enough, I haven't been through your wardrobe, but one of them, it looked great. Anyway. Let's move
Yeah.
on.
I do like a fancy suit.
Yeah, I do. A three-piece must have a waistcoat. Yeah,
You just look smart, didn't you?
You do, and if you're my sort of
Good,
size,
yeah.
it tucks everything in the waistcoat as well. You know, it holds it all in. You know when the shirt comes untucked and starts billowing out. If you've got a waistcoat, it hides everything. It's fantastic.
I think you're being harsh on yourself there, Steve.
Well, I'm also being truthful. Lockdown's no good for waistlines, I can tell you that. Lewis's question here is for all of you. What other sport do you think you would form a prolific partnership in, or what other sports would you individually be good at? Jack, is it your old man was the goalkeeper? Is that right?
Yeah, he was, yeah. Yeah, he was a footballer for quite a number of years. But
Never a path for you? Was it ever a likely path for you to follow?
I played in Sheffield United's academy when I was younger.
Right, okay.
But kind
Really?
of believe it or not, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Take anyone.
Hey?
They'll take anyone these days.
I'd probably get a gig at the moment.
You would, yeah.
But yeah, I kind of made the decision to go down the cricket route, so I was probably a little bit better. And to be quite frank, my dad gave me a bit of brutally honest advice when I was younger. He said, "Look, you're just not quick enough, and you're probably a bit overweight, so cricket's probably for you." Took his advice quite literally, and just played a bit of local football after that, and a bit of a five-a-side. But I think, in regards to your question, I think golf would probably be mine. Me and Coxie, decent partnership on the golf course. He's a bit of a bandit as well, so I'd quite happily be paired with him rather than play against him.
There you go, then, Geordie. You got a red hot partnership with Jack on the golf course.
Yeah, we got two great partnerships on Warzone as well, and definitely on the golf course. So yeah,
I think we're unbeaten on the golf course.
Yeah, we play against each other quite a lot on the golf course. It's good, though. It's a good contest. We're probably pretty much pretty similar golfers, to be fair.
You play off what 10, and I play off 4, but you still get 6 shots on me. And
no, last time we played off scratch together, and I beat you by 1. But anyway, we'll move on. Let's not say that on the chat.
No, go to town on it. Come on, the platform's yours. Crack on.
Oh no, we play together all the time. It's great fun. Obviously, I haven't had my handicap redone because I haven't played a competition for a while. Because obviously, summer we're playing cricket all the time. So my handicap's 10 at the club, but when I play with the boys, normally, especially with Min, I have to play off about 5. So yeah, I'll stick to about 6. I've been playing out at the minute, so playing off 6. I've been playing pretty nicely actually. So yeah, I'll stick to that.
This question about other sports often comes up. In fact, comes up most Spitfire sessions when we have different guests on. I'm really looking forward to the day when someone says, I can't stand golf. We haven't had it yet. Matt Mills, do you like a bit of golf?
I'm not quite as good as Coxie and Jack. I don't think mine and Potter's partner should be quite so good. We're very social players, but we're seen on the course every now and then, aren't we?
Yeah, I took a massive like. I'm not very good at golf, but I would say me and Milne would be like our best partnership would be. I'd be Crouch, he'd be Wayne Rooney up front for England. Rooney and Crouch.
I'll take that.
Oh, you're Peter Crouch, are you?
I'll be Crouch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just know who we look like the most.
Yeah.
We've actually played football together at Bilbo's Astra, haven't we?
We did, yeah, we did. Although I was stuck in defence after missing a few easy chances.
He started up top, and then Bilbo finally got him at the back.
Yeah.
I was just wondering whether you were thinking about what Peter Crouch's wife looks like. But anyway, that's another matter for another time.
Potter, you'd have to be the most improved golfer.
That's only because well, I judge it on how many balls I lose. The less I lose, the better I'm getting.
That's only because you spend 10 minutes looking for him.
Yeah.
He can't let go of a ball, Potter. As soon as it's in the rough, he has to find it. He can't let go of it.
Anyone else here who likes anything other than golf? Who's any good at anything else other than golf or cricket?
Football.
I'm great at PlayStation.
Yeah. Favorite game on the PlayStation?
Call of Duty. It's a common theme here, Steve.
How original.
We're simple minds, mate. We have simple pleasures.
Yeah.
Clearly. Ben's question here for Jordan. I can't remember this, Jordan. How buzzing were you to reach your 100 with a 6?
Oh, yeah, it was. I think the ball before the over before. Me and Jack spoke in the middle, and I'm not going to lie to you, I was a bit nervous. Obviously, to make your test first class 100.
Wow.
And so I was really nervous. So I remember talking to Jack about final circle in Warzone, and I was saying to myself, what would I do in the final circle? And I was like to Jack, I reckon I'm going here. So I was basically pushing this team. So I went down the track, and I think it was 6 or out. So, and luckily it was in the perfect slot, and it went the distance.
I think he's doing himself a bit of an injustice, to be fair, because he's one of the most confident young lads you'll ever meet. And he, as we were
doesn't show.
No, it doesn't show at all. But as we were batting together, he was telling me whose highest score he ticked off in the dressing room. So he clearly looked up everyone's highest score, and as he was kind of bopping it round everywhere, he was like, right, that's him ticked off, onto him. Kind of looking at people on the balcony as he ticked the score off. So I don't think he's shy of confidence.
Well, clearly not. If you say to yourself, I'm on the verge of 100, it's 6 or out. I mean, I love that sort of. I love it. I absolutely love hearing that sort of thing, which is great if it is 6. What about if it's out and you're on 98?
No, I reckon I would have padded out. That would have been all good. Don't worry.
You wouldn't want to be the
something behind
coach
it.
here in that, would you?
Huh?
You wouldn't want to be the coach here in that. Coach, it was 6 or out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I felt. I felt like if I was confident, then I could get the. Everyone was up, so everyone was like, "Oh, he's on 98, I'm a bit nervous, all that." And I was like, if I get half of it, it's gonna go for 2 anyway. So I might as well come down the wicket. It's an off spinner. I like facing off spinners. I'll try and hit straight, and if it turns, then I'll keep dragging it as much as possible. So it was a pretty much. It was no risk in that shot at all for me. If he did push it out and he saw me, I would have made sure I got anything in the way of it. I would even jumped with my head and gone for it. I would have made sure nothing got past. So but luckily he was trying to fly it up, and luckily I know Jack, so the person who I hit for 6, so I know him. I've played with him in the Super Fours about 2-3 years ago, so I knew pretty much what he was going to do. So luckily I got it on the half volley and I gave it a good old whack.
Jack, have you ever gone to 100 with a 6?
Yeah, but I got out doing it before. Before I got my first class 100, I got caught and bowled on 99, trying to do the same thing.
Oh no.
But then I kind of rectified it again later on. I did it against Notts, actually.
And what happens when you return to the dressing room? So obviously you've got 99, I presume you played really well, you played beautifully, and you've got yourself out on 99. So what's the reaction then? Is it like, oh, well played, Jack, or is it like, you idiot?
I mean, you still take 99 rather than getting on. So it's
Of course. Yeah.
kind of one of them things. It's a bit bittersweet, really. It kind of, because I'd not had a first class 100 before that, a bit of me being a young player thinking, oh, what if I never get one now? But then you kind of soon forget that and you think, well, I've played pretty well. So if I'd have taken 99 at the start of the day, so once that little bitterness wears off that you didn't get 100, it's still a decent contribution for the team, and you're still pretty happy with it.
Absolutely. Are you going to be turning your arm over a bit this year, Jack?
I'm trying to get myself on at every opportunity.
Yeah.
I think I'm always in the skipper's ear, whoever's captaining, to get me on. If I was captain, I'd be bowling so many overs.
He's a dark horse, Jack. He can actually. He's a good bowler. He just needs a chance.
That's all I need. That's all I can ask for. Just a chance.
Just need a chance.
And Millsy in all sorts of trouble the other day. He couldn't get a bat.
Swept him every ball.
I'm a bit disappointed Steve hasn't asked me and Milnsey about hitting 6 to get 100.
Well, just give me a chance.
Was that when you're batting or bowling?
Excuse me. Harry Popmore, have you ever hit a 6 to get to 100?
I have, yes.
That's why I asked the question. That's why I wanted it.
When
It was against
old?
Greenford High School.
Yeah.
I got 100 off 30 balls.
Yeah.
It was I was playing for Twyford CV High School, which is where I went, in Acton, West London. And it had just rained in the afternoon, so I was really excited for this cricket match. Raining, think, I might not be on. It was on AstroTurf. So it was a brand new ball on a skiddy AstroTurf with blokes about 4 foot high bowling half volleys every ball. I bullied it around everywhere and hit a 6 in.
I'm surprised you've got them.
Hit a 6 into the tennis courts to get 100.
How old were you then?
15.
Okay, and was that the highlight of your batting career?
Potentially, yes. Potentially.
All right, let's finish the set then. Matt Milnes, have you ever hit a 6 to get to 100?
Sadly, I haven't. No,
Good.
I've only
Good.
got one, and didn't do it in style like Coxey.
Good lad. I love a truthful member of the panel. Clive's question here. We've spoken so much to Jordan and Jack about their partnership last year. Let's talk about bowling partnerships. We've sort of started on it a bit, talking about when Milnes, you moved down to Kent. And Clive says, does having a good partner in bowling drive you to get better? How important are bowling partnerships? We all know about batting partnerships. What about bowling partnerships, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've played quite a bit of cricket together now, me, Podders, and Steve-O, actually. So I think we sort of understand each other's games quite well. I think we're all quite different as well and complement each other quite well. But I think sometimes, like, I think what we've begun to understand is that you can bowl very well and not get any wickets, and then the lad at the other end will get the wickets. But then sometimes Podders will bowl out his skin, not get any wickets, and then I'll come on, bowl a few cut shots and get a caught point or something. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's important just to stick in as a group. I don't think it's anything. At the end of the day, I think it levels out over the season, doesn't it? So, but I think healthy competition is very good. I think and not only us three that have played quite a bit together. I think there's a lot of bowlers at the club now that would help that competition, and everyone's striving to get better through that.
Podders, if I think back to say that that terrific Australian team, the 90s and noughties, who had so many world-class individuals, but also I'm thinking of bowling partnerships. You've got Glenn McGrath at one end, who basically is there. It's just right on the spot every single time. You may have Shane Warne up the other end, Jason Gillespie, whoever, right? They may have been some of the greatest individuals we've seen, but they were crucial in partnerships too.
No, definitely. I think Milne hit the nail on the head there. I think when the phrase bowling in partnerships is thrown around quite a lot, and it's never really understood, if that makes sense. I think the key thing that stands out for me when that phrase is mentioned is it might not be your day, but you're bowling for the bloke at the other end, right? So if I'm bowling maidens, but I'm not picking up wickets, Milne might be picking up wickets the other end. And it might be off the back of a maiden over before, the pressure might have been built by the other bloke, or vice versa. But enjoying each other's successes is crucial, and learning when it's your day and it's not your day, but it might be the other bloke's day, is vital when bowling in a partnership.
How hard can that be though? Let's say you are bending your back every single over and it's just not happening for you. Someone's nicked you through to the slips and it's gone down, and then Matt Milnes comes on the other end and takes a couple of wickets. As much as you love that, how difficult to not get so frustrated that you can't enjoy
it? See, that's a very good question, actually.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer as well.
That's also why I asked it.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, everyone's got a competitive edge, right? So that's why we're playing the sport we love. And cricket is a team game, but it's very individual as well. So at the end of the day, you would look back on your performances and you would go, right, where could I get better? X, Y, Z, or what didn't I do? What did I do well? So in that sense, it's very individual, even though it's a team game. But like Milne said earlier, is that it always swings in roundabouts and it always makes up for it in the season. So I think that, and that's something I've only really learned in the last 2-3 years of playing cricket, first team cricket regularly, is that don't stress, don't worry, be happy for other people, because it will make itself up. It's not the be on end all that one game you only got 2 wickets when Milne or Steve-O got 7 or 8 in the game, because next game could be your game. And it definitely does. Mother Cricket has a funny way of showing it, but she does look after you if you do well.
Now, I'm going to look after you here, Jordan Cox. I'm thinking of your best interests here, because your sponsors got in touch, Prospect Tree Mortgages, who said, what's the best ground to playing in Sydney grade cricket? You answer that, and the rest of us will try and pretend we know where you're talking about.
I didn't play. So obviously this year it was a bit weird, as I reckon 4 months out there I played about 6 games of cricket, if that. COVID and rain, so we fielded for 3 games. We fielded for the whole day, and then the next week on the Saturday it absolutely threw it down. So we didn't bat. So there's a lot of time in the field, but I reckon the best place for me was Waverley Oval, was where my home ground was. I know Mossman, Manly, all like great pitches, but the ground I like the most, maybe not for the cricket side of it, the scenery is probably my home ground, which was really nice, and a great group of people.
Did you have bucket loads of rain then while you were down there?
It seemed to throw it down exactly when my team wanted to bat. Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Really? No Australian ever tells you that, do they? It's always sunny every single day. It's 28 degrees minimum. It never rains. They never have a drought. They're perfect, basically. They've got neighbours home and away and loads of sunshine. They don't tell you about that, do they? So talking about grounds in Sydney and rain, what about grounds in this country?
What, my favourite ground in this country?
Yeah, you can say Canterbury if you like, but you must have a second.
I think probably my favourite ground I played at was probably obviously Lords. I know it was weird, no fans being there, but I haven't played at many big grounds, so I definitely think Lords is definitely up there.
It still has it, Lords, doesn't it? Even with no one in, just that pavilion looking at you, the aura, the nursery ground.
Yeah, definitely.
It still has
I played 2 years ago there in a T20 game, and it was pretty busy. I didn't bat, so I didn't get the nerves of that. But I had to go out and film the boundary, and I got sprayed, but it's all about the game really. So it was a bit different. The first ball came to me when it was actually Aby de Villiers hit one at me. I was an extra cover, and he smoked one, and I remember stopping it, and I was like, okay, I'm on here, like it's not getting through me. And then like 2 balls later, he smoked one straight past me, and I was like, oh no, here we go. This could be a long old day. And then I was hoping, because I was on the bounds, I was hoping I didn't get a high one, just because the crowd all shouting, screaming. So, but for the last year, it's been no crowd, so I've not been nervous once.
If you want my advice, by the way, if you are owing people coffees, whatever,
yeah, please.
Don't buy one at Lords, for goodness sake. You'll need a second. Crikey. If you take a gold bar with you, that might just about cover it. Potter's talking of Lords, of course. This used to be your home ground. So is it difficult for you to give an answer other than Lords as my favourite ground?
Yes and no. I think if you ask the majority of people or cricket watchers or cricket supporters, they would say that Lords is pretty special. I only played probably 6 or 7 games there. Which, don't get me wrong, they were special, but I think as a player, you tend to gravitate towards the places that you do well at. So Lords is obviously speaks for itself, but I've been quite successful at Edgbaston, so I tend to like Edgbaston. I think Edgbaston's a lovely ground to play cricket at, and obviously not as much history. There's still loads of history there, but not as much as Lords. But it's still a special place to go to. All these big built-up stadiums where you know that there has been, Ashes cricket played at. There has been some of the greats of the game more often than not walk through the pavilion doors. But for me, Edgbaston is quite a nice ground for me to go to.
I think all of you would absolutely love featuring in finals day at Edgbaston with a full crowd, and it is really quite something. It's fantastic. Jack, of course, you're used to Headingley, and there is a ground with history just coming out of every blade of grass.
Yeah, it's a nice ground. It's looking good at the moment with the new stand as well. It probably wasn't one of my favourite grounds to play at. I think Lords, like you said, it kind of stands on its own. But outside of that, probably Trent Bridge for me was mine. Similar to kind of what Podders alluded to before, I've had a lot of success there, which is I got my first 100 there, and we won the championship there the first time we won it, which was quite nice. So I've got quite a nice affiliation with that ground. So yeah, I think they're probably my favourite too.
Yeah, I love going up to Headingley. That car park behind the rugby stand there.
Yeah, I think Scarborough's good as well. I don't know if you've been to Scarborough. Scarborough is a very different. It's almost like a football crowd. It's quite strange because you'll get 5,000 or 6,000 there for a championship game, and it's almost like playing a 4-day game with a T20 crowd, because the people tend to have a good day and enjoy themselves on the bays. And I say it's an awesome atmosphere. When we were on top with Yorkshire doing well, it was a great place to play. But when we were getting rolled for 100, we were getting just as much abuse as the opposition. But no, that's another good ground to play at as well.
And to complete the set here, Matt Milnes, you were very fortunate as well when you were with Notts. So Trent Bridge, another one of the great grounds where you were based.
Yeah, I think I've got a bit of a thing for the Oval. I think obviously Lords is special, and growing up playing on like the Trent Bridge outfield makes that quite special. But yeah, I just find the Oval every time I go there, I absolutely love it. And as I've done pretty well there so far, so long may that continue. But I just find how I get a bit stick for this, but every time I go to London, it just gets me every time. Just how there's a ground in the middle of London.
We're almost up in time here, so we're going to move on to the star question. Matt Milnes, I'm sorry to say that Ben, who's a friend of yours, sent the question over. Do you ever think there'll be a boy born that could swim faster than a shark? We're not going to we're not going to have time for that, which is
I have
apparently
no answer to it, so that's good.
it's a quote from The Office, isn't it?
It is,
Apparently,
yeah,
is that
it
right?
is. Very
Yeah.
true.
So sadly, we don't have time to cover that question. Although, could you imagine during COVID,
Here
someone,
hours.
someone setting a comedy in an office? Oh, there's no one here. The start question comes from Craig. I love this. Thank you to all of you for choosing it. Thanks to Craig for sending it over. Was Steve-O, Darren Stevens, a boyhood hero for any of you? And do you think you'll still be playing at his age? Jordan Cox, I'm looking at you thinking he was probably a boyhood hero for your parents.
Yeah, you did. I definitely.
Before you were born.
But definitely
Yeah.
before I even came to Kent, if I'm honest with you, I didn't even know who Darren Stephen was. So it was when I came here, obviously at Kent when I was in the academy, then I started to know this absolute genius of a dad. But no, he's so successful. He's done amazing. But I can't imagine when I'm 40, however old he is, I can imagine I can't be playing cricket. So hopefully I'll be on the golf course.
Buying coffees. Matt Mills, Darren Stevens, boyhood hero of yours? You're still going to be playing at 14, whatever it is?
44, isn't it?
Something like that.
Might have done him out a few years there.
You're going to be open the batting then.
I will not be playing at 44, no. I think my body might give up on me before then. But with regards to him being a hero, he's my hero now, so if that counts.
Oh,
What, even more than Sir Lou?
No, I didn't, to be fair, I really underestimated him as a bowler before I came to Kent. Like, I actually, in all seriousness, didn't know how good he was until I started seeing him every day. I was like, oh, he's Darren Stevens, obviously a bit of a veteran, obviously very good, but until you actually see him and understand how good he actually is, it's crazy how skillful he is. Absolutely crazy.
Harry Podmore, have you got two short answers for this?
I do, but I don't want to do him a disservice. I think he deserves all the credit he gets. I think not a childhood hero, as he made his first class debut before I was born even. But you know, playing in other teams, you always look at the scorecards. Every cricket player does it, whether it's Badgerish or not. Everyone checks the scorecards at the end of a championship day. And there was a common theme around the Middlesex dressing room of, oh gosh, Darren Stevens got 5 for again. Of course, Steve-O's got 5 for, you know, so having a keen interest in always checking up on his stats. Not a childhood hero, but definitely someone I would look up to now.
Well, you two, Matt Mills, Harry Podmore, have given very honest answers to that. Jordan, for you, I think Darren Stevens' age currently is so far away, I don't think you can really answer it. I'm looking at you, Jack Lean, and I'm thinking, 44, still playing? Yeah, why not?
I mean, I'd love to still be playing cricket at 44, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. In terms of him being a hero, I think I woke up in a shiver about facing him a few times when I played for Yorkshire, by blowing my front pad off. But the boys are right; he's a genius. It's actually, you don't quite get a full understanding of what he does until you play with him. I've never seen so many batters come out to bat already look like they're just completely done in the head before they've faced him. And he makes some of the best players around the circuit look really average, which it's just this serious skill to have. So he's a genius and he's class to play with.
That's so true, that, isn't it? The number of times you're at Canterbury or wherever watching him, and you know, a really good opening batsman or top order batsman, you know, his class, who's maybe played international cricket, and Steve has them tied up in knots sometimes.
Yeah, he's a genius. He is the GOAT. He's the cricketing GOAT.
The GOAT.
He is the GOAT.
Well, thank you very much, Craig, for that star question. You'll be winning a prize courtesy of Spitfire, our terrific partners. I'm sure the Shepherd Neame website's still open, and well, praise Lord that the Shepherd Neame pubs are open before too long. Against all expectations, I've really enjoyed it. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to Matt Mills. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Steve.
Hopefully we'll be seeing you very soon. Jack Leaning, thank you for being there. Nice mirror as well behind you, by the way. Jordan Cox, where are you at the moment, Jordan? You in the office or somewhere?
I'm in the office, yeah. I don't want to leave. I want to go back to the gym. So
Yeah, words you never hear from my mouth. And Harry Pottermore, thank you very much, all of you. It's been terrific. Really enjoyed
Yes,
the last
Steve.
hour or so. Brilliant to have you with us. Thanks for all the questions. And as I said earlier, log on to kentcricket.co.uk for details of the ticket packages, particularly with regard to the Vitality Blast. kentcricket.co.uk. There'll be another Spitfire session coming along soon, so keep your eyes on that website and the social channels as well. We'll see you then. But now it's time for a coffee.